Hey everybody. So I kind of have a list of things I want to hit on this intro video. And the first one is in the video you'll see that I take a mesh already in ZBrush. This guy. Well, not this guy, but one of these in here somewhere. I believe it's this one. And then I just go from there. But it's possible to just go straight into Dynamesh and making your own thing. I just wanted to save some time and it was already set up. So I kind of want to show you how I might do that. In this case, I'm going to use him as a bit of an overlay just to kind of be quick about it because I was concepting as I was going, wasn't really sure what I wanted. But now I know exactly what I want. So I might like pull out a basic shape. If I was to do it this way, and then use mask and Dynamesh to get what I want. So kind of what I do is I go as far as I can with the topology I have, and then I'll probably Dynamesh it once it becomes an issue. So I'm already starting to see a bit of those issues. So this is where I'd probably start Dynameshing. You want to keep your subdivisions pretty low as you build up in most cases. So it's just like any other art. You want to build as you go. You get as far as you can with that topology. As you can see here, you get as far as you can with it, and then it's a little too low. And then you go up from there. And there's nothing wrong with this method or the method I was using that you'll see later. I was just trying to go a little bit quicker in the concepting stages because I wasn't even really sure actually what I wanted. So see, you kind of work with it like this. You push and pull things as you need them. I actually used a different face, so whatever. Just give you a basic idea. So once you start seeing the banding like this, or like, let's say you're like getting some shape in here that, some unique weird shape, this is kind of when you start Dynameshing, and then you can just push and pull as you need, and then just re-Dynamesh it. No, I'm not going to use any of that. So that's kind of how I would have went about the body. And even, this works good for like fingers and stuff. So you just pull out a thumb and then Dynamesh it. Same with the fingers, and that's just kind of the whole process as far as that goes. Let's go back to this guy. So a lot of things I tend to do is I'll append things as I go, and a lot of times I'll just append a sphere, and then and then start sculpting on the sphere. Change the size, whatever. Oops. So I'll also show some of the tools I tend to use. I'll use extraction a lot, and you can just get that based on masks. This one's pretty helpful. I probably use it in every workflow, just about. So you basically have your thickness here, and then when you hit extract, it shows you a preview of what you might want. Let's make it a little thicker. And then you have to accept it, and it'll drop it down into your subtools. And make sure, I'll show you here, there's still this is masked, so make sure if you want it, if you don't want it anymore, you unmask those things. So now we have a ring. This one's pretty clean because of how I put it on the edges, but a lot of times if you extract something, you might still have to clean it up. So using the clip tool, I use quite a bit. It's a good way to clean things up. There is another method, for example, that I might use instead of that. Well, so it's the strap tool. Drop just one strap by pulling line. You can also move it around by these little handles it has. And you can change your size based on your brush size. You don't want it when it's this color, you want it when it's this color. So holding outside of the actual sphere and then redropping it. If you want to keep it, a lot of times what I do is I'll go up to stroke and then I'll say delete. So it's deleting that line. So now this is permanently part of this sphere. Well, not permanently, nothing's permanent in ZBrush, but it has a different polygroup. So you can always go over to split and say group split, or if it's still masked like this, you can say mask split or unmasked split, and it'll have two separate objects. So that's how you kind of drop more than one. Oops. Another way to use this is if you want a circle or to go around the whole thing, as you're pulling off the object, you hold shift. I probably shouldn't have had symmetry on. So you drop the line and then you hold shift as you're pulling off of whatever object you're working with. It's not always the best. So here's a good one. So like if I was working on him, and you'll see later on I give him straps, so I want to go around his wrist or whatever. They don't like that, have sublevels. Could have froze it, but whatever. So that's way too small. So you can kind of start dropping them down like this. Oops. And after they're actually done, you can move them around. This one's being a little difficult. And then also after you drop it, obviously, since it's polygrouped, you can move it with the move brush. Alright, let's drop one down. Alright, so now it's two separate groups. Let me turn both of these on. So I want to divide it. So there's this method I use quite often, and you can use it with anything. And I don't know what it's really called, but I just call it the push-pull method. And as you see later, I'll make straps with it. So if I know it's going to be in one area, and I know I want some kind of like detail on the straps that looks a little tethered, I use the brush, the crack orb brush, which you can get offline, but the Damien standard works the same. So all I'm doing is like just pushing it back, and then alternatively I can pull it forward, but in this case I'm not doing that. And this works with a lot of different methods. This is how I do armor sometimes, and obviously this is how I'm doing the straps, and you'll see it in the video. So I have that. So let me show you like doing armor. So what I might do, like on this guy, is duplicate him. And I actually don't want that high sub-level. So now I have two bodies on top of each other. And then, like, let's just say I want some shoulder stuff. I can start pushing it in and then pulling it back in areas I don't want it. And then that's kind of how you can start doing your armor or anything really. I use this quite a bit for all sorts of different techniques. And then you can delete the things you don't want or keep the things you do, whatever. And then after, like, let's say this is kind of the armor piece I want. And then I'll come in with like the trim dynamic or the hard polish brush and kind of work it in. And then from there, if you check out my hard surface videos, I show you a more detailed way of getting this kind of to where you want that hard armor look. I basically retop it and then I do creases based on the retop. And you can use that under Z Modeler as far as the creases go with the retop. And then you get really nice, crisp, clean armor. So my main brush I use is clay tubes. It's just I really like the way it makes edges, and then this is at too high of a sub-level, but then as you build it up, it just makes these like cliffs, and you can really use any brush you want, but this one I tend to always go back. It really helps with like showing muscle, and it makes it look like it has those fibers in there and striations. So I use that one quite a bit. The other thing I use often is, I guess it doesn't matter what brush it's on, but with spray and Alpha 58, you can use this for leather, you can use this for skin. So it's a little intense here. So normally with leather I might do just some crisscrossy motions. Like there's nothing special to it, it's just using what is already in ZBrush. And like if it was skin, let's say this is like kind of more of a armpit area or a wrinkled area, let's say. So let's say we have these wrinkles in an area that normally creases, like the inside of your arm or whatever. So here's the inside of your arm, and then I'll come in and I'll be more directional with these wrinkles in these specific areas. And I won't hit the whole body all the time, but sometimes I do. In this guy's case, I only hit the body, well, I guess I hit the body everywhere, but I only hit more specific areas where I knew it was going to be seen. Like in this area, and kind of on the arms, and like I said, I didn't want to hit every area. It's just, sometimes it's just too much, and it's stuff you're not going to see anyways, and it all depends, like if you're making a game res, if you're making it just for presentation. You can also use this one for pores. What is it, Alpha 23 and Alpha 22 you can use kind of for veins, but I have my own that I use for pores. The dots are a little more small. I have two different versions. I have one that's like game res version, and then one that's for just like high poly stuff. But you can use the spray in a lot of different ways, and you can change the placement of it, so how it lays those down in what order in the flow. Just keep those things in mind when you're using it. A lot of times you'll also see me, let's go back to this guy. I'll often use masks as a way to create polygroups. So I use the lasso, and then I might like come in like this, and then while I'm hovering on the subtool, I'll hit Control and Alt, and I'll click, and it'll make that mask harder. So with the polyframes on, if I hit Alt and W, or Control and W, sorry, it creates a polygroup out of this. And then I'll just hide that polygroup, and then I can say, if there's no sublevels, I could say delete, and then close holes. In this case, this isn't what I would do with this strap, but you can do this. So now you have these like areas that you just deleted out. Yeah, so you can go around that and do that on the whole object. I did that a lot for the straps that were kind of hanging down. You'll see later, hanging down off his wrist, because I gave him straps on his wrist, and then I had some hanging down. So I just did that exact process. And that pretty much sums up the intro to what I do. It's pretty basic. There's not a whole lot I do. I just append things in. I might retop things, and then I use all these methods to create different things out of basic shapes. Okay, thanks. Another quick thing I forgot to mention is use shortcuts. And I have some set up. So basic things like from the deformations that I use a lot, and under geometry I use a lot, and polygroups I use a lot. I have this one set up, I have this different one set up, and then this different one set up. It was from an Eat 3D tutorial I watched ages ago, and it just showed you basically how to set up these different panels. But I use it constantly because it's just under Control Shift and A, Control Shift S, and Control Shift D. It's just super quick ways to get to things I'd have to like search for under here, and geometry, and other areas. And deformations I use quite a bit. There's probably more I use now than when I set this up. So I might need to update this soon, but I just kind of wanted to say that. And you should learn the shortcut keys. I actually still see people, it blows my mind. I still see people using like all these things to like move around and scale and rotate. completely ridiculous. Like, you're just wasting so much time. And as far as I'm concerned, ZBrush has the best like way to navigate out of any of the programs, other than the fact that in the 3D programs now I use like a 3D mouse, so I don't even use the stupid little shortcuts. But as far as ZBrush goes, just always use shortcuts. And then I have all my basic used tools set up to shortcuts, like Control C and Alt A, like just all these, and like Alt M, Alt S, Alt T. Enjoy the videos.